to sell your home without an agent and save the commission. So the market is hot and you're thinking about selling your home on your own and not have to take on the cost of commission and everything else that comes with hiring an agent. And I understand that. But there are things you have to be prepared for. Let's dig a little bit deeper into how you can maximize the sale of your home. Now, each point will have its own timestamp in the caption, so if you have to go back and check it out or rewind or forward, you can go ahead and do that. Let's get into the first tip, which is pricing your home. This is by far the most important thing. Pricing it too high is just as bad as pricing it too low. You really want to be able to price it just right, and being able to look at the right comparables that are exactly matching to your type of property is the most important and most crucial thing. So make sure that you detach yourself from the emotions of being the seller and really looking at these objectively. Now the next one is preparing your home. Decluttering, touch-ups, painting, first impressions is the most important thing. What I also want to suggest is doing a pre-inspection report. Get an inspector in there, spend the $300-400 because a buyer is going to do an inspection anyways, so why not figure out what repairs you need to do before a buyer comes and tries to break you down on price about it. Prepare yourself for necessary legal documents. Now, this is something that a lot of for sale by owners are not really prepared for. You have to be aware of all paperwork because this is when you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. You need to be aware of seller disclosure forms, agreement of purchase and sale, and other legal documents, purchase contract, mortgage payoff, deposit receipt. These are all really necessary documents, and there's a whole checklist of things that you will need to make sure that you're legally protected. Especially if you're going to be doing this on your own, make sure you consult with a lawyer beforehand. Market your home properly. So although maybe you have done some marketing, maybe you haven't, this is so important because this is how you expose your property to the most qualified buyers. Now, I'm not just talking about buyers in the city, I'm talking about out-of-town buyers too. So you need to find different websites and different ways that you can make your property appealing. Certain wording and certain language that you use in your ads can change the type of people that you attract to your property. So make sure that you do a lot of research on this particular thing because marketing is what's going to bring buyers in. People are going to be the one to sell your property, like you, salespeople, agents, whatever, but marketing is what's going to really attract buyers to your property. This one is a really hard one, and it's to remain objective during showings. I know it's really difficult because maybe you've grown up in that house, maybe you lived in the house for a long time, maybe you built it, maybe you renovated, maybe you put your heart and soul into it, but you have to stay objective. If you start showing too many emotions in front of a buyer and even trying to speaking emotionally to a buyer, this can change everything because the second you start speaking as a seller and not as a salesperson, you're gonna lose that negotiating advantage. So make sure you stay objective, and honestly, I would probably just leave the house and let the buyers view the home on their own. Pre-qualify your buyers. You don't want to bring a bunch of buyers who are not even qualified for a property like yours. So make sure you do your research beforehand on the type of buyers that you're going to be bringing into the house for showings. Negotiate effectively and knowledgeably. Now, this is leading back to the same thing I said earlier about keeping your emotions out of it. You need to stay objective. Negotiating is by far the most important thing. This is when you're sitting down and talking about price, about the home that you've been living in, and this can be very difficult. You may want to bring a mediator in. So we actually have options for sellers that want to sell their property on their own to step in certain times to kind of act as a mediator for a small fee. So you could still save a ton on your commission, but we could kind of help out in that area. But this is really crucial. You have to stay objective. You have to take your emotions out of it, and you really have to kind of keep that poker face because during negotiations is not the time that you want to be emotional. Actually, during the entire process, you don't want to be too emotional. So really be aware of what kind of language or what kind of body language, tonality you're portraying to the buyer, because this can make or break the deal. Know your buyer. So A lot of times with us, we get to know who the buyer is, where the buyer is coming from, what the story is, because this can really help us negotiate better for a lot of our sellers. So know your buyer, talk about why they're moving, what they're looking for, what their buttons are, and what you can use during negotiations. This is really, really important. This goes back to being objective during negotiations. Don't move out before you sell your property. I know the whole process can become very exciting, and now you're super excited to get out of your house and move into your new home. Don't do it, because when you're selling your house on your own, a lot of different things can happen. Maybe the experience that you don't have could cause you to take longer to sell your property. The days on market for sale by owners is typically longer because of the little details that are not taken into consideration. So make sure that your house is sold firm, okay, with no conditions. This also goes back to the legal documents. You want to make sure that you understand all the clauses, conditions, and everything that's in the paperwork. This can really change everything, the entire outcome. So make sure your house is sold firm with no conditions before you go and put an offer for another property. The last one is know why you're selling and be very, very disciplined in keeping this to yourself. This does not need to be communicated to every single buyer that walks through the home. Another reason why you really need to know why you're selling is to understand where your motivation is. This is really going to help. I find with sellers, the key point is to know why you're selling, where your motivation is, because this is really going to help with how you sell your home, what price you put for your home, because a lot of sellers that are not really that motivated to sell their property always have the highest price on their property. And you know what? When you price your property too high, you will not get the right buyers inside your property. Your house will end up sitting on the market for way too long, and you'll end up selling it for a lot lower than you even expected had you priced it right, or worse off, just taking it off the market and continually doing that for a couple of years. That's not a really good look either. So make sure you know why you're selling, know your motivation, know your timing, and do all of these things effectively, and I promise you will have better outcomes. If you want to get a free report on tips on how to sell your home on your own, send me a DM or call me at 647-977-9752. Also, if you like this content, give me a follow, like, share, or comment. I'm going to be posting a ton of educational videos on real estate, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.